okay? Because they never came back. So don't do it. Fight for yourselves. Load up on guns and ammo. They may not make guns illegal, but they'll stop selling ammo. Don't underestimate the idiots from being idiots. And so just prepare now while you can. Question from a listener. Comment. Do you think Yah would lead people away from the jobs in the cities even though you still need money to operate in the physical fallen world? Any suggestions? What's your take or advice on the matter? Yeah, that's the only thing that aggravates me to death is because no matter how much we can detach ourselves from Earth, you still need money to survive on it. And so just follow what the Lord leads you to do. I would know for a fact He's leading people away from the coastlines, and He's urging people to get away from the cities. Because what they're doing to a lot of these cities, especially if you live down in Fort Worth, Texas, and some of these other areas, is they're encircling them with towers. They're like just gridding them in. Like New York City and Fort Worth, some of these bigger cities, they're gridding them in with towers, and the people that live in these areas are being pounded and inundated with these mind control towers, dumbing the populations down. And so you want to get away from the big cities because you want to get away from their tech weapons, their mind control weapons. You'll be amazed that when you get out in the country, how freer you feel. You're not like imprisoned. You're not tied down and dumbed down with mind control weapons. It's liberating. And so especially getting away from the coastlines and just getting out of the large cities because they're going to be attacking them. See, this whole thing with rising gas prices and all this, they want people to relocate to cities so that they can rely on public transportation. They want people to give up their rights of having their own vehicles and their own transportation to start relying on public transportation. It was always part of the Illuminati's plan to get people more geared and focused to public transportation. And the way you do that is get them into the cities. And once they've got you in the cities, you're like a mouse in a box. They've got you. And so don't do it. Don't get near the cities. Get out of the cities. So just ask the Lord to guide your thoughts on where to go and how to be able to support yourself. You know, just count on Him for that. Question from a listener. How come so many UFOs are being seen in the UK and the US and not so much in other places? They're being seen everywhere. They're losing their cloaking. And the more and more of them are going to be crashing because the positive orgone is warring against them, and they're crashing. And so that's why I have the song, another one, Bites the Dust, that comes on before the show. And it's raining UFOs, and yeah, they're being seen everywhere. They're just kind of like a part of, if you live in the South America, Brazil and Mexico, they're a huge part of those cultures. They see them all the time. I think America and the UK are just the two countries that are behind everybody else. Because there's so many still yet in America that don't believe UFOs exist. And so they have a lot more conditioning to do here in America yet. And the UK. And so they're going to have, their invasions. And you got to watch for people that say that they're UFOs and that UFOs are a hoax. It's just the military. This is true in a lot of instances. A lot of things I've read, people from seeing UFO accounts, I can tell you it was American or Russian or somebody's military plane and not a UFO. Because I've always said our NSA has their own fleet of UFOs. Our government has them, and NSA pilots fly them. And so you have to be very careful, on whether it's a government military UFO or just a real legit, that's an alien type UFO. And so I think they want people to think that it is a hoax, that it's just the military, just to shake the box up so people don't know what to believe. They throw so many different things out that people don't know what to believe. But where do you think they got the technology, folks? They got it from the aliens. And so obviously the aliens exist. Somebody wanted me to go over Revelation 9 in regards to the UFO invasion. Maybe I'll get to that in a little bit. I'm going to get through some other emails first. Connection problems for some people. Yeah, tonight I had some problems with my websites a couple minutes before the show. Some people in different countries having a hard time accessing my sites. Some people in America having a hard time getting my sites. Yeah, it's usually just one or the other, and so... If you can't access my show on my main site, SherryTalkRadio.com, just go to SherryShriner.com or HiddenCodes.com or the Watcher Files or Orgone Blasters. I have listen buttons on a lot of those sites. I don't know if I do Orgone Blasters, but I do the other ones. And so you can usually catch it on one of the other sites. Question from a listener. Are there any beings that have ant-like antennas hanging from the top of their heads? I wouldn't doubt it. And what about brown-faced beings that have similar skin texture as E.T., but does not look like E.T., and they have a cloak type of cape that they're wearing? I've been a Christian for several years, but I think I've been visited. I feel closer to God than ever and have been living the will of God more and more these days and stopping much of many of my sins, and that's good to hear. There's so many different types of aliens. There's over 200 different varieties. I mean, there's many different groups and types of aliens. Some of them are manufactured, like the Greys. Some of them are made in underground bases and just clones of a master blueprint that they have. And because demons don't have bodies. If they want to operate in this realm, they need a body. And so what they can do is they can clone these gray bodies. A demon can actually have that body then, and then they just control its mind with chip implant. That's why they call it the hive mind mentality. Because you get all these little cloned beings, you chip implant all of them, and the puppet handlers, the alien handlers, aren't far away watching what they're doing and telling them what to do. So, and his kingdom is huge, a lot bigger than people realize. So yeah, there's over 200 different species of aliens. How can I get an orgone pendant that I can wear as a necklace? You can go to my website, OrgoneBlasters.com, scroll down the page, and Anne has them. She sells them. She lives in Texas. You can order a pendant through her. She takes PayPal. If you don't have PayPal, you can just mail it to her. Sherry, it's in the water, plus the chemtrails. They're flying over every day, 4 to 5 a.m. This is Trumbull County, Mahoning. Okay. Some people are popping up with rashes. They were practicing how to lock down the city with black helicopters and UN marked cars in Farrell, PA. You know how the Mason built the train track around here? They're trying to cut us off from the rest of the nation. Well, you've got to get some orgone down there. And I know there's a warrior down there. There's another warrior down there that I've talked to before in Youngstown. So just got to get some more down there. Let's saturate the area. Make it miserable for them. I've been dying to hear from these martial law exercises they had in Indianapolis, because I heard that they were going to use, they had over 200 locations they were going to use in the city, and they ended up going off to one area and one location where they finally had their main exercises. Because I've war-goned Indianapolis. I've driven through there, and I've war-goned certain areas of it, but not all of it. It needs a lot more work than what I've done, but I got some in there. So I was dying to hear about how it affected a lot of these soldiers. Now, mind you, a lot of these soldiers are puppets. They're just kids. But a lot of people in the military, too, are just, demon-possessed and alien hybrids, and was interested in hearing if the orgone affected them in any different ways. And so, yeah, it'll be different. Interesting. Comment from a listener. If you have a question for the show, comments, and this is SherryTalkRadio at yahoo.com. If we are by chance chip implanted, then is it possible that humans may follow us several places that we go? It seems as if whenever I go somewhere, there could be no one at the place, and all of a sudden, bunches of people arrive. That's just how it is. Doesn't mean anything to you. First of all, their technology is so above board right now that they can follow you around the world. They don't need to put somebody. This isn't Hollywood anymore. They don't have to follow you into stores with cars. The only way they do that, reason they do that, is so you'll see them following you or intimidating you. They want you to see them. Otherwise, they just follow you by satellites. They've got your number. They've got you homed in from satellites, and they can just follow you from satellites. They don't need this Hollywood, let's spy on them, give them a tail stuff anymore. They don't need it. And so the only reason you'll see them is because they want you to know that they're there. And so, that's just the way it is. And a lot of us, from the time we were born and whatever, getting chip implanted